mask, sunglasses, and ear. Our reading today is by Rainer Maria Rilke. He was an Austrian poet and novelist, existential writings place him as a mystical poet. He had a correspondence with a minor poet between 1902 and 1908. That was a long time ago. This minor poet later published Rilke's letters in Letters to a Young Poet. In that short book of correspondence, Rilke advises the anxiety-filled young poet who is struggling with purpose, failing, rejection, and bewilderment. Rilke, in his Letters to a Young Poet, is talking to a 19-year-old military officer who wanted to be a poet. Rilke is sharing his insight and wisdom from his distinct vantage point of being 26 years old. You are so young, so much before all beginning, and I would like to beg you, dear sir, as well as I can, to have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers, which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then someday, in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing, live your way into the answer. Perhaps you do carry within you the possibility of creating and forming as an especially blessed and pure way of living. Train yourself for that, but take whatever comes with great trust, and as long as it comes out of your will, out of some need of your innermost self, then take it upon yourself and don't hate anything.
We're going to be sitting around. Randy, could I have some, please? Could I have some, please?
Thank you. Good morning. We're going to be doing a round from our teal hymnal, number 1003. And you guys are going to be part one, and you're going to be led by the choir. And you guys over there are part two, and you're going to be led by me. So what we're going to do first, just so everybody knows the song, we're going to sing it once in unison and then 3 times around. And if you get lost, this is the perfect song to get lost on because it's basically a song about a question. So don't worry if you get lost. So please stand as you're willing and able. Let's sing it through once. 1003 in your teal. Where do we come from?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where are we
So can I get some help to gather any in the pieces of paper? This is like a reverse offering, so could somebody be an usher and start gathering questions? Ryan and I are going to take a seat on the stool here, and so we'll be happy to answer questions that aren't asked, but it'd be easier if we had some questions. All right. Thank you. Yeah, just, yeah.
All right, Nick.
Oh, turn this way. Oh, serious.
Oh, all right. Got a curious congregation.
So Ryan and I have done this a couple times. Is this picking up? I don't know. Can you hear me? Is this picking? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Ryan and I have done this a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun, and it's also very revealing. So, how do you want to do this? You want to just choose one? Okay. How about this one? Okay, so read it for our Zoom convocation.
What question is reoccurring for you?
So I was thinking on the really tough ones, we'll answer with the question, well, what do you think it is? Or you want to talk a little bit about doubt and faith?
Doubt and faith. I was trying to think of, what question? Probably, what am I going to eat for lunch when we go into the? Yeah, that's a hard one. Purpose of life, maybe. I think the really fun part is just learning to sit with the questions first off. So, yeah.
So we're muted, Vera. Okay, you picking up back there? Okay, great. So she's picking us up back there. Okay. I can do this one. Next minister? Question mark? Yes. By all indications, talking to the lay leaders, this congregation is interested in having a paid minister. Whether that'll be half-time, quarter-time, some ratio of that, perhaps full-time, depending on the finances. The challenge, of course, is housing. If you bring in someone from afar, it's going to be really challenging to find a place to live here, even on the salary that y'all have been paying me. So, you want to?
Yeah, Russ took the practical route. I'm gonna go with Martin Luther in the Protestant tradition was famous for looking at the priesthood of the believer, and this was a very controversial topic back then. It's like the actual priests spoke Latin, nobody really understood them. They didn't. So Luther was really big on giving that back to the people. So next minister, look around. That's you guys. And it always has been.
Agreed. And if, for those of you who are familiar with the concept of shared ministry, that's what Ryan's talking about. It's not a minister, it's shared amongst everyone. Okay, Russ, after being with us for 10 years, what can you honestly tell us? Share with us your words of wisdom. Honestly, you all are human, frail, inconsistent, but at the core loving and kind and compassionate. And it has been my privilege to have been with you all for 10 years. I'm fond of saying, in my time here, I wasn't living one life, I was living 100. Because of the connection I've had with you all, and all of your issues and struggles and joys and sorrows, I was there and there, and so it's been 100 lives.
All right. Ooh, that's a good one. What is worship and why? Gosh, I'm an existentialist by nature. So for me, worship is an experience. It's indescribable. If you can put words to it, then it's not truly worship. I I like Rudolf Otto coined the phrase numinous, and it was this divine just awe. So worship is just that. Worship is what you can't put an answer to.
And to complement that, yes, and I believe worship is best done in community. You can have a religious experience, spiritual experience on your own, in the nature, at the beach, at the birth of your child. But worship is, for me, community. And that's whenever two or more are gathered in my name.
Ooh, long one.
How can the fellowship in Unitarian Universalists most effectively encourage and deepen the spiritual growth of the spiritually oriented members while not alienating the atheist members? Here, you take that.
Give it to the Presbyterian minister. Man. I think what it comes down to is finding that common bond between atheism, Unitarian Universalism, Presbyterianism, Hinduism, Buddhism, you name it. And I just love the idea that agnosticism, and the big differentiation between the two is atheist is like not believe, atheism, versus agnosticism, Gnostic, is just simply not knowing. I've always defined myself personally as, and some of you guys have heard this, an agnostic Christian mystic. And what that comes down to is really simple. It's like, big front line is not knowing. Christian, I say, is my flavor of ice cream. One of the reasons I love the Unitarian Universalist Church is just that. We can have a whole bunch of different flavors of ice cream and tastes, and those tastes change over time. And mystic is somebody that knows through experience, going back to that idea of worship. So, yeah, I think the big thing that we can all kind of come together in is humility and being able to sit with the fact that we truly don't know. There is not one right.
Yeah, I would add, a mentor once told me, if during the service, if at least one person isn't offended or upset, you failed. We challenge each other, and that is the covenantal relationship we're in, is that if you never get put back, upset, set apart during a service or a community event, then we're not doing our job of community. We test each other, we show each other differences, and being a covenantal religion, we stay together. Even if you're slightly offended, it's like, I don't like the sound of that at all, that's okay. But it's not the entirety of this denomination or this religion or your life journey. Staying together, you can learn from everyone here. So, yeah, atheists are welcome, agnostics, Christians.
Ah, I like that. What makes you laugh? And, okay, so you're gonna have to help me here. It's
LAFF question mark? Okay, yeah.
all right.
Let's just make it easy.
We'll have to. So, what makes you laugh? The mirror in the morning.
Yeah, I like to say humor is best served cold. What makes me laugh is things that don't appear to be humorous or meaningful, but they really are. Sarcasm, cynicism, if balanced, can be very helpful. Again, I also laugh at myself. And I can't do that too much because then I wouldn't be getting able to do much else. There's so much opportunity. Let's see what we got. Need advice for a ring given to me by Nick the last Thanksgiving. He died the day after. Oh, wow. Need advice for a ring given to me by Nick someone. Let's see. Pardon? Nick the Greek last Thanksgiving. He died right after that. Oh, wow. That's okay. What do you do if someone gives you something and then they die?
Is it a magic ring?
And it's supposedly a saint's ring.
Okay.
And I took it to the shrine, and he said to bring it to Goodwill, and I said, no. To do that.
I would bend this one toward the materialistic world versus our own spiritual journey. And when something is of a material that feeds you, comforts you, whatever, that can have a place in your life. We are surrounded by many things and stuff, but there are totems, mementos, things that really can ring with us. Supposedly a wedding ring is supposed to do that. Just a constant reminder.
Yeah, this service is on delight, and I think just simply that, just delight in it. It's not about what we do with it. You can sit it on a table and stare at it and just smile. So to find that essence of delight is probably one of the most beautiful things we can do.
I sought to give it back to his family in Greece. He is from Greece and the Bronx. And then we put it in holy water and it started bubbling. It started bubbling up like there was energy in that ring.
May well have been. That's true. Yeah.
And embrace the magic. Don't question the magic, but embrace it. How to stay positive on our narcissistic days. Darkest. Oh. Same thing. Freudian slip.
So how do you stay positive, Ryan?
I've kind of started, I lived most of my life trying to be the happy guy. And over the past couple years, I've started to realize that it's not about staying positive on our darkest days. Sometimes those dark spaces are the most beautiful of spaces, and sitting with them, exploring them, like they're there for a reason. So I think to stay positive, remember that we're going to wake up tomorrow and today's not going to matter. We are going to get through these times. We're going to get to a brighter state. But in the present, sit with it.
Mm-hmm. And most of you know I'm prone to bouts of depression and will be the rest of my life. And we talked about this on the radio show we did a couple weeks ago. One of the things that keeps me buoyed up is the odds of you being here. And some of you have heard this. What are the odds that you're here? And so people have calculated that. Mathematicians have gone back and figured, okay, the odds that a planet would have enough oxygen to have life, the life actually gets created, evolution or whatever helps, a certain creature start walking upright, and the odds of a sperm and an egg getting together and actually, fertilizing and going to completion. And then there's war and famine and disease and just all that. And by one estimate, the odds of you being here today are 1 in 4 trillion. And another mathematician calculated and said it's basically infinity. It's virtually impossible for you to exist today with everything that was stacked up against you. So given that, it's like, this is a good day. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. So darkest days, lean into them and find your way through. How do you draw on your courage to face difficult things? I'm a peacemaker, and I'm looking for cooperation, compliance, and so I have to push myself toward conflict that is necessary. And so basically I really have to go backwards and get myself together and then rush at it. It's like jumping into the ocean here. You don't do it gradually because you'll never get in above your knees. So the way I do it is kind of calmly, compassionately face things.
Paul Tillich wrote a book way back called The Courage to Be. And if you get a chance, I would take a look at that. And it's basically saying the most courageous thing that we can do is to accept ourselves at our lowest point. So to wipe away every ego kind of driven piece of that of I am what I've done, I am the letters before my name, I am what I'm going to do, and just simply accept ourselves at that base level and then build off of that, I think is huge. And it also looks like if we always in the Western world, we say like, oh, keep raising the bar, like strive for this, strive for that. But what would it look like if our focus was on how to lower the bar and become self-loving at the bottom? Because if we do that, pretty much everything else is icing on the cake. I mean, you get out of bed in the morning, you win. You make yourself breakfast, that is a check in the right box. So yeah, the biggest thing for me is I face difficult things by setting the bar really low nowadays.
Secret of happiness is keep lowering your expectations.
Yeah.
We have a question from the Zoom congregation from Heather Forsyth. 2 questions. What are your thoughts on kindness? I observe that sometimes people's opinions are more important to them, other people's, than kindness. And there's a lot of opinions in this congregation.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? My second question is personal growth less important than trying to change the world? Wow.
Yeah. You take the first one, I'll take the second one.
Sometimes people's opinions are more important to them than kindness. Yeah, we have this unfortunate tendency to be self-centered, and it seems to be just a trait of humanity, and it's good. It serves you well, and to a certain extent. But opinions. My philosophy is kind of like my opinions are mine, and I'm open to sharing them, but it's totally up to you whether you accept them or not. I think where boundaries cross is when an opinion of a person becomes their life purpose to convince others. And I think that is crossing the boundary of interference and control, authoritarianism. I think that's the boundary cross, so it's a balance.
All right, and then as far as changing the world, so those of you that have known me for a while know that I have like certain Ryanisms, little things. And funny enough, I have on my cell phone, if you ever steal my cell phone, I've got my personal number is loaded in as God. So I text message myself when I have a new Ryanism. So I text my number, and then magically enough, I get a text message from God with that specific message. So I've got 2 Ryanisms for this idea of changing the world. The first, and they're both dealing with C words. I also, you guys know I like to rhyme and I love alliteration. The first is always be content but never complacent. So realize the world is what it is, and I've got to find a state where I'm content with what's going on. And we have this false notion that the world is not as it is. It's the world is supposed to be something different than what is. So we need to erase that. So to learn to be content, but never stop. Like continue to try to change the world. And the second one goes with that. I think it's super important to view yourself as a compliment and not a crutch. Don't take the world or the weight of the world on your shoulders every day. You're a compliment to the world. Like your being, your waking up in the morning is having a positive impact on the world, but you're not responsible for saving the world.
Wow, thank you. I didn't know that.
This one's from email. Russ, could you tell us more in detail about my calling to ministry? What were those nudges, what I call God nudges, what were those God nudges like? Did you have any doubts along the way? Were there other options? No, yes, yes, no. Okay. Yeah. I'll go first. My calling to ministry was out of the blue. It was from an individual. My home church minister in Salt Lake City, we had lunch one day and he said, have you ever thought about becoming a minister? You have a strong calling. And I was completely in denial. But within a year and a half, I had resigned from my corporate career, moved to close to Berkeley to go to seminary. Calling, I mean, some of my colleagues, they've actually had an epiphany, something from the divine God that says, this is what you ought to do. Not me. And mine was more very slowly like, no. But there was no other choice when it really came down to it. A true calling, you have no choice. You can push it aside, you can ignore it for a long time, but it's always there.
All right. Well, that one was to Russ, but I'll jump in real quick on it. Gosh, and I hate to say, and it's probably, I reckon I'm not the only one in the Unitarian Universalist kind of spectrum of this, so I'll put on my UU hat instead of my Presbyterian hat. I took a passive-aggressive role to faith. I believed I had it right, and I was going to prove the other, we'll leave it at that, wrong. I had gotten thrown, and I didn't grow up in a religious family, a spiritual family, and then I got a running scholarship to a Southern Baptist college in the middle of Tennessee. So that was my introduction to faith. And I ended up dropping my pre-med major and taking theology because I just thought it so fascinating, the beliefs that these people had. And then I went to the most liberal of Presbyterian seminaries in the country to kind of get the balance going, and through it all, I had that passive aggression, and my ministry didn't really start. It didn't really begin until I stopped trying to prove the other wrong and realized that there is no right, and I'm still trying to figure out that calling. That's many times why if you come to church with me, you're out in a sailboat in the middle of Monterey Bay.
Church or fellowship? Yes. Okay, so I can reflect back. When I came here, very much humanistic influence on this congregation. Y'all didn't use God, altar, sanctuary, worship, prayer, etc. And perhaps you didn't notice, but very subtly I started using these words every once in a while to attenuate you to this and get your rejection over softly, one word at a time. And so I purposely interchanged church and fellowship constantly in my time here, because it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And so if you want to fight about it, take it outside.
I guess my simple addition to that is just church and fellowship both work, but what it comes down to is we got to do a big C church, big F fellowship, and not a little C church, little F fellowship.
Well said.
All right. When did you each hear your calling to be a spiritual leader? Well, I kind of nailed that.
Yeah.
Did you have like a cool lightning strike moment?
No. It was the closest thing was camping in Moab, Utah, in our camper van. I just could not sleep because the thought just kept coming back, and so it was one of those things I couldn't. So that's closest to an epiphany that I got. It was just sleepless night.
I personally had a crush on a young life leader. Cute blonde. So God speaks in many ways. It can be a burning bush, it can be a donkey, it can be all sorts of things. Mine was a cute blonde.
I'm wondering why this fellowship retains elements of the Protestant worship service. Yeah. Yes. To be, in my opinion, to be inclusive of all the different approaches to spirituality, we should incorporate various elements of different religions in our services. And so that can be song, etc. So, you know, I think all of you have to appreciate how much baggage we walk in with. Okay, many of us, very few of us are lifelong Unitarians. So many of us have baggage from previous ministries, religions, and stuff. And the challenge here is to deal with that and to use it to your advantage.
All right, well, I got another Ryanism for you guys. Okay, so I think the big difference is looking at these elements. There's kind of layers here. You've got ritual, and that's hopefully what we kind of do in this service, is we have a ritual of the candle lighting and chalice lighting and the sharing. So you've got ritual, repetition, rut. And I think a lot of churches fall into those lower categories. So it's not necessarily like what that ritual is, and in the Protestant tradition, we've got a bunch of them. You've got the baptism, you've got communion, you've got the whole array there. But the question is, how do you hold on to the mystique? And I think if we don't focus on the ritualistic element, and that can be anything. That can be, I always love in the morning, like I like to grind my coffee beans and then heat the water and then pour, and it's this ritual experience. That can just as easily just be a repetitive thing that you're on the fly for work and you fill up your thermos with Folgers kind of. So yeah, I think we hold on to a variety of traditions because there's a ritual essence to it. But our calling is how to maintain that mystique and not let these things go mundane.
So we got 5 questions left. We're going to run a little over. So do you want the last 5 answered? I'm looking to the congregation.
Yes.
Yes, that was a question. You want to continue? Why not, why indeed? Because.
All right, so the big one for this is how many people in the past week have looked up at the clouds and just gone, why? All right? There's a beautiful word that you can insert before why to make that much more pleasant statement. So it's not why me, I wonder why. I think by adding that essence of wonder into our life, we move ourselves from this feeling of victim. We're in a culture where we like to victimize ourselves. It's like, oh. But if we wonder, it's an adventure. So.
I would say why not, why indeed are your greatest teachers. You know, keep asking, and maybe in time you'll get some perspective. But these are great teachers. What is the future of church?
Once again, going big C church, not little C church. Well, we can do both. We can do little C church, and
We can do both.
I think little C church is in trouble. Not gonna lie. As a minister, yeah, little C church is struggling. I am blessed with the opportunity to speak at a variety of Presbyterian churches throughout the region with my job, and there's not too many little C churches thriving. Well, I won't lie. It's kind of the way it is. Now, big C church, that's a different story. I think the future of big C church, I think we're all searching for something right now. And I think isolation is at its peak. So we had that earlier question, church or fellowship. I think if we focus on that fellowship aspect of it and allow ourselves to say goodbye to aspects of the Little C Church and welcome in aspects of the Big C Church, then I think we're in a state where we can really thrive, because I think we're hungrier than ever. If we hold on to the Little C Church, once again going back to those like switching to repetition and rut, I think we might be on church hospice care right now.
True, I completely agree. Little C churches are struggling, and we get focused in on, oh, it's not the way it used to be. You know, the boomers are a generous, wealthy generation, and they can have carried the small C church for a long, long time. If you focus in on the small C church, you know, like paying the bills, working on the campus, doing the way things you've always done, yeah, you're going to struggle, perhaps fail. If you focus on being a Big C church, mission, vision in all your actions, and what is sustainable, to keep using that word, then you're going to survive. People need a religious experience. You can call it spiritual, religious. People need a community. There's a tremendous amount of loneliness out in our society. It can be found here or in a Big C church, in a community where it's safe, where you're together, where you're supporting each other and walking alongside. Future of the church, it's not going away. It's just transitioning to something that we haven't seen before. Keep checking the Zoom.
I love these questions. What's next for Russ and Jackie?
Why don't you go ahead?
Russ is doing my radio show. So if you guys didn't get a chance to tune in, I've got Russ as my new, I drag him into our radio show every other Thursday now. And so personally, what's next for Russ and Jackie? They have more free time to answer my little pleas.
No plans particularly. A lot of time, not downtime, a lot of thought time. Don't have any great dreams. We will be traveling a bit. We do have a camper van. We'll be going on extended camping trips. And it's when you're open, there's all sorts of things that come in. Like all of a sudden you see something in the Washington Post that says a 13,000-mile journey to stay wherever you stay. It's average 70 degrees. And so you go north to Alaska in the summertime, then you go south in the wintertime to Florida, and then you come through Texas. So, it's kind of like, is that a calling?
Yes.
So, the answer is, it's to be determined, to be revealed.
Just so you guys know, I love this. That just made my day. The most recent comment is instead of Big C Church, as in the letter, it's Big C Church, SEA. So very, very, serendipitous. What is next for the church? The Big C, Monterey Bay. Come out sailing with us.
How will Russ find his spiritual nurturing being a UU and not coming here?
For a year.
For a year. For those of you who don't know, my covenant with you will be that hands off, no contact for a minimum of 1 year. It might be longer. Spiritual nurturing. Well, I shouldn't say this because it undermines the community. There's other places. And it could be other churches. There's a great church in Monterey. There's a Center for Spiritual Living just across the street from where I live. There's other. It's your spirituality. Hopefully, is not here 1 hour a week. It's much more than that. It's every time you see someone, every time you check out at the grocery store. It's a connection with the person behind the machine. Its spirituality is everywhere. So your spiritual home you're carrying it with you. While doing my business in the dorm at UCSC, I wrote on the wall, "What is normal?" I was surprised by the answers. Yeah?
What is normal?
What is normal? You know, we're kind of biased, right? Because we're kind of at the tail end of the scale of the distribution. We're tail ends.
Gosh. What a question to end it on.
Setting on the wash machine.
Yeah.
Setting.
I'll start off and then
Yeah.
I'll let you have some time. Normal. Normal can have a very negative connotation because our culture forces us to be norm within the boundaries of performance, looks, behavior, and so it can have a negative connotation. It can also, in my opinion, can have a positive connotation if you just take that definition of normal and just spread it as wide as you can. So there is total acceptance of everybody being normal. So in the latter, there's no other. You know, we're all normal, and we're all above average. And we're all exceptional. And in my language, we're all divine children of God. You all have a divine spark in each and every one of you. So, yeah, why not? Isn't that normal?
Yeah, okay, so mine is gonna go back to that little bit of kind of like passive aggressive like thing that I've got inside of me. And I guess all through growing up, I was like I was born into a normal family actually. I had two parents, I had a big old poodle named Scruffy. We had 2.5 children in our family, which is pretty darn close to the average American. My dad had a half daughter from his first marriage, so literally I was the essence of mundaneness, and I think even looking at we're in Pride Month right now. Well, I was the goofy middle class straight white kid. I wanted to be different. So I fought normal because I had this preconceived notion of what normal was. And I did so through all sorts of things. I had the pierced ears and the tattoos and the bright shirts and not much has changed, as you can see. So I think the big thing for me that happened was at one point, and I still do the bright thing and I still strive to not be normal, but I all of a sudden realized that being happy was more important than being different. And I think if we can all kind of move towards that of I just want to be me, that is very abnormal to simply not worry about whether I am quote unquote normal, different, the other, which color of the rainbow I am, and instead just focus on being happy.
Nice. Thank you for your questions. Hopefully the answers we've given will either inspire you or not.
Yeah. We'll be around for lunch for those questions that you couldn't say out loud.
Right. All right. How about an interlude, Jerry? Okay. Thank you all.